Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel English for Free. Today, I will talk about the history of the greatest country on the world, the USA. The history of the United States is a long story of people, hope, struggle, and change. It is a story of native peoples who lived on the land for thousands of years. It is a story of explorers who arrived from faraway places. It is a story of brave fights for freedom, the building of a new nation, and the growth of a powerful country. It is also a story of mistakes, conflicts, and lessons that shaped the country into what it is today. In this long essay, we will move slowly through the major parts of American history, using simple words so everyone can understand. Chapter 1: Before the United States existed. Long before there was any country called the United States, the land was home to Native American tribes. They lived in every part of the continent. Some lived in forests, some in deserts, some in mountains, and some near rivers and oceans. Each group had its own language, culture, and traditions. Tribes like the Iroquois, Cherokee, Sioux, Apache, Navajo, Hopi, and many others built their own ways of life. Some hunted animals like buffalo. Some grew crops like corn and beans. Others traveled and traded goods with their neighbors. They respected nature and believed that all things, trees, rivers, animals, and mountains, had spirits. Native Americans lived on the land for thousands of years. They built towns, farms, and religious places. Their cultures were rich and complex. This was the beginning of the story, long before any European settlers arrived. Chapter 2: Europeans arrive. In the late 1400s and early 1500s, European explorers began coming to the Americas. The first famous explorer was Christopher Columbus, who came in 1492. After him, more explorers arrived from Spain, France, England, and the Netherlands. They came for many reasons. Some searched for gold. Some wanted new land. Others wanted to build trade routes. When they arrived, they met Native Americans. At first, some groups traded peacefully. But soon, conflicts happened because the Europeans wanted to control the land and resources. By the early 1600s, Europeans began building permanent settlements. One of the first English settlements was Jamestown, Virginia, founded in 1607. Another famous settlement was Plymouth, where the Pilgrims arrived in 1620. These pilgrims came for religious freedom. More and more settlers came from Europe. They built farms, towns, and colonies. Over time, 13 colonies grew along the East Coast. These colonies were under the control of Great Britain, and the people living there were British subjects. Chapter 3: A growing desire for independence. For many years, the American colonies lived under British rule. At first, this was acceptable to most settlers. But over time, people began to feel unhappy. Britain passed new laws and taxes that the colonists did not like. For example, The Stamp Act and the Tea Act made people angry because they felt they were being taxed without having a voice in the government. This anger led to protests. One famous protest was the Boston Tea Party in 1773, when colonists threw tea into the Boston harbor to show their resistance to British taxes. Tension grew stronger, and soon, the colonies began to think about breaking free from British control. Chapter 4: The American Revolution. In 1775, the conflict between the colonies and Britain turned into a war. This war is called the American Revolution or the Revolutionary War. The colonists formed armies to fight the British. One important leader was George Washington, who became the commander of the Continental Army. On July 4, 1776, the colonies declared their independence. They wrote a famous document called the Declaration of Independence, mainly written by Thomas Jefferson. This document said that all people have rights and that the colonies were now free from British rule. The war lasted for 8 long years. There were many battles, victories, and losses. The colonists faced great difficulty, but they kept fighting. Finally, in 1783, Britain agreed to peace. The United States of America was officially born. Chapter 5: Building a New Country. After winning independence, the Americans needed to build a new government. They wrote the Constitution, a strong and balanced plan for how the government should work. The Constitution created 3 branches of government. The executive, led by the President. The legislative, made up of Congress. The judicial, made up of the courts. In 1789, George Washington became the first President of the United States. He helped set many traditions. People respected him greatly. During this time, the United States was still small. Most people lived along the East Coast. But soon, the young country would begin expanding westward, adding more land and growing quickly. Chapter 6: Westward Expansion. In the 1800s, the United States grew rapidly. One major event was the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, when President Thomas Jefferson bought a huge area of land from France. This doubled the size of the country. Many settlers traveled west in wagons to find new opportunities. This movement was encouraged by the idea of manifest destiny, the belief that Americans were meant to expand across the entire continent. But westward expansion caused conflict. Native American tribes were pushed off their lands. Battles and forced relocations, like the tragic Trail of Tears, brought suffering to many native peoples. This part of American history shows both growth and deep sadness. Chapter 7: The Civil War. By the mid-1800s, the country had a major conflict over slavery. In the southern states, slavery was legal and used for farming, especially cotton. In the northern states, slavery was mostly illegal, and many people believed it should end everywhere. The disagreement became so strong that in 1861, 11 southern states left the United States. They formed their own country called the Confederacy. The northern states, known as the Union, fought to keep the country together. This conflict became the American Civil War, the deadliest war in U.S. history. The president during this time was Abraham Lincoln. He believed the nation must stay united. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that slaves in Confederate states were free. After 4 years of fighting, the Union won the war in 1865. Slavery was officially ended in the United States. Abraham Lincoln did not live to see the full healing of the country, because he was assassinated shortly after the war ended. Chapter 8: Reconstruction and Industrial Growth. After the Civil War, the United States entered a period called Reconstruction. The government tried to rebuild the South and bring the states back together. Newly freed African Americans gained citizenship and the right to vote, but they still faced discrimination and many challenges. At the same time, the country grew rapidly in other ways. New inventions, factories, and railroads appeared. This era is called the Industrial Revolution in America. People began moving from farms to cities to work in factories. Immigration increased as millions came from Europe and Asia seeking a better life. The United States was becoming modern and powerful. However, life in cities could be difficult, with crowded homes, long work hours, and low wages. But the country kept growing and changing. Chapter 9: The United States in the 20th Century. The 1900s brought great events that shaped the world and the United States. The country fought in World War I in 1917, helping bring the war to an end. In the 1920s, the economy grew quickly. People bought cars, radios, and new products. But in 1929, the Great Depression began. Many people lost their jobs, and businesses closed. President Franklin D. Roosevelt started the New Deal, programs to help the country recover. In 1941, the United States entered World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor. American soldiers fought in Europe and Asia. The war ended in 1945, and the United States became one of the strongest countries in the world. After the war, a period called the Cold War began between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was not a direct war, but a long period of tension, competition, and political struggle. In the 1950s and 1960s, the civil rights movement grew. Great leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. fought for equality for African Americans. Their peaceful marches and speeches helped end segregation and protect civil rights for all people. The United States also reached the moon in 1969 during the space race, showing its technological power. Chapter 10: Modern America. In recent decades, the United States has continued to grow and change. Technology has advanced quickly, from computers to smartphones. The country has become even more diverse, with people from all backgrounds, cultures, and countries contributing to society. The U.S. has faced challenges such as economic crises, terrorism, political divisions, and debates about social justice. But it has also led scientific research, medical advances, space exploration, and global innovation. Today, the United States remains one of the world's leading nations. Its history is a mix of success and struggle, progress and mistakes. But at its heart, the American story is about hope, freedom, and the belief that people can build a better future together. Conclusion. The history of the United States is long, complex, and full of important events. From Native American cultures to the founding of the nation, from Civil War to civil rights, from industrial growth to modern technology, the country has changed many times. This simple, long essay gives a clear and easy understanding of that history. It can be read aloud for a YouTube video, used for learning English, or shared as an introduction to American history for people around the world.